for our halftime breakdown of this best of 2 series. All right, off the bat here, we went into this one saying, all right, let's look at TakeOver. What's he going to look like going into LCS? But Cubby, I think that we can all agree that was the hyper show there. That Viego was a little nuts.
It's something that we haven't seen a ton out of Hyper this split. It was really good to see. We know that he is elite when it comes to the Viego and the Lee Sin. Those are the two champions that he really excels at. We haven't seen a lot of his Viego this year, but I think that his ability to work with Yurson, that was massive. And it's something that we haven't seen out of TSM when they were running this roster previously. So I really like seeing that improvement with these guys coming back together.
Awesome for TSM Academy to pick up this win against, again, FlyQuest, who are right above them in the standings. There is still a Miracle Run opportunity for them to make that push for top 6. Magical from FlyQuest's perspective, though. Also, even though they didn't walk away with the win, we saw signs of life, especially with Philip in that laning phase. I think that we can walk away from that one and say that's a pretty big win for Philip to actually match up against Viper and have that kind of performance in, you know, the microcosm that is just the laning phase.
Well, I think Philip and Spyrex, I look at both of them playing really well in that game. Solo kills essentially for Spyrex, getting a little bit of assist from Diamond, but top lane, Philip getting solo kills against Viper. It looked really good, especially in a matchup where I'm sure you have to land the Shuriken flip onto Gwen in the first place if you're a Kali to be able to get the kills, but you'd expect that. You're expecting that that's going to happen. In fact, they were able to dive early on. It just overextended. No flash available, no way to get out from the turret with the Ignite ticking as well. It turned out to be a 1-for-1 trade in the top lane. Then later, Hyper, he TP back in, but then Philip hits level 8, so he's 2 levels up his competition, and then solo kills him again.
Yeah, before we replay too much of what happened in that actual game, though, in terms of the play-by-play Magical, you're already proven that you remember a lot. We like to play some game shows here during our halftime show. So today, to help us further understand and break down that game, we're going to play a little one that we like to call Pixel Perfect. So, production, cue the music. This is the game where we get an opportunity to test the memories of my colorcaster and play-by-play, and also a fun way for us to break down what had happened in that last game. Let's take a look at the point system that our competitors can earn. We have a 16-bit category, an 8-bit category, and a 1-bit category. Now, I've taken screenshots from the last game, and some of them are pretty easy to tell. Those are the 16 bits, worth less points. Some of them are really hard to tell. And I actually made sure this time, because Cubby got too many correct last time around. So this one actually will be hopefully difficult for you.
Make it hard.
I will say I have an excuse for the last time. I am here to get revenge. I am ready.
All right, I like it. I like it. Well, this is the point breakdown. We're going to give it to Cubby because I feel like play-by-plays have gotten it like the last 5 times that we've played this game. So, Cubby, you're up first. Which category would you like to go for? 16-bit, 8-bit, or 1-bit?
I'll be a coward.
8-bit. Put me in the middle.
8-bit. In the middle.
It.
So,
as always.
Again, I took a screenshot. This is in the 8-bit category. This image that you're seeing on your screen, give me the context of what was happening in this moment of the game.
This is the Viego ult.
Okay, you can identify that.
Barely lives. And it is TSM turning around that bot lane skirmish. It was that close.
TSM turning around the bot lane skirmish. Let's see. Let's see what the survey says. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
that was enough teaser. I was thinking about it because I was like, I'm not quite sure if that's close enough, but let's take a look at the bigger picture here.
I didn't have like a timestamp. It would have been like, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, 13. A little bit earlier.
Before plays.
But the cool thing about this is he hits level 9 as this play is happening, and that literally saves his life. That's how close this was
tragic.
to FlyQuest actually getting that kill. So yeah, he was level 8 when he goes in, hits the level up in this moment. Absolutely nutty stuff.
That's so tragic.
All right. An early point over to Cubby. Congratulations.
Big moment.
Big moment for Hyper there on the Viego, showing up massive for the team. Magical just comes back
I get 2 points. Yeah, 2 points.
2 points.
Look,
Sorry,
I'm fair
2 points.
competition here. Even if it favors me, I'm gonna say it's 2 points that Cubby just somehow deserves.
I appreciate the sportsmanship. There we go.
Magical, do you want to go for a 2-pointer? Or do
I'm
you
not
want to
a
go
coward.
for 3 points, 1
I
point?
am not a coward, Kangius. We are going for the 3 points.
I know you're not. All right, and I chose a pretty tough one just for you, Magical, because I knew that you would be the one to do it. What is the context of this image here from the last game that we just watched?
That's the Hextech gate escape, isn't it?
Hextech gate escape. Okay. Good guess. Let's see what the survey says. No. That's not it. That is not correct.
Yeah.
Cubby, you got a chance to steal now for 3 points. This is why you never go for the 3 points first.
No,
as
I'm not a
play-by-play.
coward. I'm
All right,
not a
so-
coward.
Potential context for the next game.
Potential context for the next game?
No? Okay, never mind.
Wait,
What?
oh, because
LCS?
takeover and
I don't know,
LCS.
takeover?
All right, I see it.
Takeover?
I wasn't following it first, but no. What is the
I-
context from the last game, Cubby? That's how the game works.
I don't know. The takeover pop-off, he's going to LCS for this week. Maybe that.
Takeover pop-off going to LCS. Let's see. Was it actually me being cute and try to come up with something fun for takeover? No, it was actually just Viper doing the backflip across the entire map. If you remember that play.
I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
okay, so this is it was in Dragon Pit, and I had the Akali bar. It's a 1-bit, guys. I told you
There was
was
an Akali bar?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there
saw
was
that.
the Akali yellow bar at the top of the
I saw
screen.
that too, but
I
it's
didn't
hard
see
to
that.
tell with that context. Like I know Akali has to be involved, but she was involved in the Hextech escape as well.
All I
didn't
know
see
is that Cubby flamed me last week for making these too easy. So
I did
I did
flame you
too.
last
I
week.
did
Cubby,
I'm
you're
not
back
flaming
up.
you this time.
You're
That's
back
fine.
up on the docket here. You got 2 points under your belt. What are you gonna go for?
Yeah, just give me another 2-pointer.
Another
I'm gonna-
2-pointer?
I'm gonna keep on taking my points.
Coward.
Okay. What is the
Is it a
context
coward if I win?
of
No, it's
this
coward.
image here in relation to this last game?
Oh, poopy. Oh wait, this is the Philip. This is the Philip solo kill, the second one on the Viper in between the 2 turrets.
Yeah, it
Second
is.
solo
knew it.
kill on
Those are
the
some
Phil.
powerful scissors.
Level 11 too. I remember.
Powerful scissors. Exactly. That was it. Yeah, Philip had a really good time in laning phase, everybody. That's kind of what we learned
He
here.
overperformed for that matchup. I think that was a really nice game from Philip, even in the FlyQuest loss.
Absolutely. I think that Philip showed what he can do on the Gwen. Now, 4 points for Cubby. Magical. We got to go quick here.
Not
Are
a
you going for
coward.
3 points?
Of course I am.
I knew it.
He
I knew
has
it.
to at this point. He's down.
Oh,
down
it's, I
horrendous.
wouldn't.
True, yeah, you do need to make the
thing is,
comeback.
I don't even care. I'm just not a coward like you are,
Okay.
Cubby.
Let's see it. What is the context of this 1-bit image on your screen right now?
A sec. I mean, obviously I see Yursan's there.
Okay. You got
Therefore-
your
He's a Jan
son.
Kench.
Well, yeah. I'm just trying to. So I think I know the point. It's because obviously it's a FLYA too. He's knocking up FOMO, and if I recall, I think this is in mid lane when it was that big fight where Yursan tried to engage initially, and then later the shockwave happens from after.
I'm just going to run it. I'm just going to
Yeah,
run
yeah.
it. No. That is
Not?
incorrect. Not correct. Magical. Cubby, you are up next. I already have a feeling that you know what this is. What was the context of this image for your opportunity to steal and win the game?
I didn't miss this one in the replay. I think.
Okay.
This is the Yursan knock up onto Pike, where Diamond was trying to posture to prevent Hyper from getting into the pit. He knocked up the Pike. The channel on a Q was canceled, and the Hyper got in and stole it.
All right, that's a good guess. Let's take a look. Drum roll. Absolutely, Cubby. Congratulations.
What?
You did it. You did it. This was Hyper's steal of the Baron. And the thing that, of course, the context was the Baron steal. That's what you got. You got the correct one.
I caught this interaction. I missed the level up. That was huge, but I caught this one.
Fun note
that was
here.
a pretty sweet play from Yursan.
Fun note here, TSM did such a good job controlling vision around the dragon itself that FlyQuest didn't know that there was nobody from TSM nearby. They waited around this Baron for 10 seconds before starting it. If they had started it instantly, they easily get the Baron. TSM aren't there in time. But of course, you know, hard to know that when you don't have vision of where the enemy team is. So I don't want to discredit FlyQuest too much right there. Cubby, congratulations on winning the game right there. I mean, already 7 points, right? 7-0. Magical. You didn't even get a single point, and that was a steal.
I'm not a coward.
All right.
I mean, give him a 1-pointer. You know.
No.
Let's
see. Cubby's a coward. He starts with 2. If you have actual balls, you go for the 3 every time.
We gotta get into pick and ban in a couple minutes here. We're waiting for that to get ready. So, Magical, I'm just gonna give you some opportunities with the 16 bits. What is the context of this image? Wait, let me pull up the right one. You have to know this one. The 16 bits are too easy. You cannot go without a point.
Oh, this is the double kill from Tom Kench.
Yes, yes, this
Yeah,
was double kill
all
for
right.
Tom
We're
Kench.
good.
Okay, congratulations, Magical. You got a point. Let's do the second one just for fun.
Okay.
Just because we're getting ready for pick and ban here.
Just
What was
'cause,
this final
Kangas
one?
put in the work.
Speed
I
run.
put it to
Speedrun.
work.
Yeah,
I took the
speedrun.
screenshots.
He put in the work.
The dive. No, wait.
Oh.
This is the first. It's the first solo kill, not the dive where he TP'd back into lane and got killed when
there it is.
Philip was level 8.
Yes, that is correct. Viper thought he could take the fight, the 1v1, because of his massive minion wave. Look at all these minions! And Phillips still is able to win it because Viper did take one turret shot during that exchange, unfortunately. So turret damage is a little bit more than like 5 caster minions. That's kind of the moral of the story for Viper in that matchup. But that's what
Works
happened
hard.
throughout the game. Congratulations, Magical. You got 2 points. I gave
Not
them
a
to
coward. Not a coward.
not a coward. Now, with that said, of course, we are getting ready for pick and ban for game number 2 here, and we do have confirmation that TSM Academy will now be fielding Kaido in the mid lane and Takeover moving to LCS. We'll have to wait for confirmation of what tomorrow's roster looks like, but we will get a look at Kaido here in the Academy scene. So for everybody who's been waiting to see and confused why Takeover was in game number 1, hey, now you get your opportunity to see what TSM Academy looks like with this iteration of their roster. And with that said, I'm hearing the pick and ban is ready. So I'm going to pass it over to Magical to get us ready for game number 2.
You know, I was really excited for Takeover, especially, going to the LCS and all this stuff. But after that last game, I was even more excited to see him continue to play to get this win. And I'm really curious to see how TSM will do. Another roster swap for the team, see how this will mesh. And Kaido is a great player, don't get me wrong. It's just how that game really panned out, using Takeover Shockwaves to be that initiating tool, with Hyper getting really fed as well as Yurson. Now, how does Kaido step into that similar role that Takeover has?
Yeah, and it's interesting because it feels like TSM. I know they published this with an article with Upcomer Asher talking about how Kaido has felt some pressure, and playing an academy might help ease that pressure. It does feel like TSM feels like it's something that did help Shenyi, and now we're seeing them do that with their other, of course, LDL prospect that they did bring in for this season. And I'm curious because I think that in Academy, given the format that we have, the best of 2s, and the fact it's a developmental league, I think there are more windows and opportunities for people to go for plays. And I think that's what I really want to see out of this TSM lineup, because when I watch TSM's LCS lineup, it feels like a team that really lacks an identity. And they've had some games where, they pick scaling and it feels like they're playing to either win lane or they play to wait to lose. And I don't want to see that out of Kaido and really the players that TSM brought over. I want to see them play aggressive. I want to see them go for plays, go for dives, go for the crazy stuff that we see over in the LPL and LDL. And it doesn't feel like they're doing that with this roster and their new players. So I'm kind of looking to see if we see a more aggressive, more confident version of Kaido as he continues to kind of step up and get settled into North America, and see if he is, this player that we all were really hyped up about, just being this mechanical monster.
As we dive into Champion Select, we're already pretty thick into it as well. All 3 bans for both teams exactly the same. First pick, exactly the same for FlyQuest, and it seems like we're probably going to have a similar trajectory for the side of TSM, unless they want to grab this Ahri instead of it going into the hand Spyrite.
Okay, so already an early adaptation coming out. This puts an emphasis for me about mid and jungle priority. I love when you can pair Ahri up with a jungler that wants to go make plays in sides. And I know part of my wish list for what I wanted to see out of this TSM team, I feel like we're already getting a little piece of that, as now we're going to have to see a big decision for TSM here. Their counter to Gwen in the last game was this Akali. That didn't work out great in lane, but it did work out as the game went on. Right. It's either that or take the marksman. If they want to take the Xayah again, they're going to have to make a choice with how this draft has panned out. And it does look to be Viper's going to have to eat some bans in the top side, as we'll see what FlyQuest decides to take away from him. Would not be surprised to see the Akali take it away and then something like a Jace.
I'm expecting those as well. Last time, it was just 2 mid lane bans that came in from FlyQuest, but this time, the Ahri already locked in for Kaido. It's probably going to be that Akali and Jace. That's what I'm expecting to see in this ban.
And as we are kind of keep on diving through this pick ban, I think that for TSM, this is still a very core with the first 3. A big emphasis on that early identity. A big emphasis on that early game. You have a Tom Kench, a Poke Xayah. These are lane-dominant champions. Can be lane-dominant champions. You have already getting shove and roaming. And so I really think it's going to be about TSM trying to attack sides. And I want to see how Hyper and Kaido can work together to try and attack those sides and see if they can get TSM really far ahead in the early game. I know that it was a victory for TSM in the end. We didn't see them do like a perfect, fantastic job of doing that in the last one. So I think it is something that we could see them try and buff up, try and improve in this one. As it will be a little bit of a switch coming out in the junglers. Of course, Yuji did not lock in his champion yet.
Yep.
Hyper now has to blind the champ, and that blind's going to be Voldabear.
But also could be that Gwen is flexed to jungle. Doesn't necessarily have to be top lane for Philip. While we expect that to be the case, it doesn't have to. And here with these hovers that we're seeing going back and forth, kind of gives us ideas of what FlyQuest might actually want to do. Normally, you kind of ignore them, say they don't really matter. But having this Hecarim locked in, the Lulu was something they hovered before. But instead, it's Zillion. More movement speed for Hecarim.
Oh, okay. Very different here for the side of FlyQuest. This last game, of course, it was that Pike. This changes things up a lot as it is all about scaling for FlyQuest. It is all about getting to the later stages of the game. TSM, they're the ones that have to break this. They're the ones that have the Voldabear Ahri, have to get out of lane and try and move around the map. So I really want to keep our eyes focused on Hyper and Kaido. Can they work together? Can they make plays happen early? Because if they don't, it's going to be a slow burn in FlyQuest. Once they get to the 2-item spike, their comp is going to destroy what TSM has.
But that's the thing. We've already seen once today in a different series that the late game scaling comp wasn't able to get to that point because of the early plays made on the other side of the rift. For TSM's sake, we look at what they have. They do have a lot of power in these lanes. Getting Jace for Viper, we had highlighted that we'd expect that to be the pick that he'd have if it wasn't banned away, and there it is.
And for TSM, I mean, this puts them on a clock, puts them on a timer. I know that one of the things that we have praised TSM for of late is they have gotten early leads throughout all stages of Academy. There have been games where they're walking into the 14, 15-minute mark of the game with a gold lead. We haven't seen them be able to snowball those as well. I think the last game was a good example of how TSM have made some of the improvements to work on snowballing those games, work on making sure they aren't throwing those. But this game, they have to smash this early game. I mean, if FlyQuest are allowed to scale for free, if there are handshakes, if FlyQuest is able to cross-map, things will go bad quickly for TSM. So I big emphasis. I really want to keep our focus on this jungle matchup, see what Hyper can do with his Voldabear, and see if he's able to work with his new mid laner in Kaido and move around the map and try and attack the sides of FlyQuest.
And we'll have to find out when we load up onto the Rift for our second game of our second series for day 1 of week 7. Getting through all the numbers right there. I'm excited for this one, though. Even if it's two teams at the bottom of the standings, it's not like they're playing that way. They're looking far better than the early split might indicate that has put them into this position down towards the lower tiers of Academy.
I mean, both these teams coming into this series were 3 and 5 in the second round robin. That's better than, 9-10. But I think they still are a bit behind from some of our other Academy teams, but we're just happy to see some of these improvements come out. And leave it up to TSM to, even though this is a 9-10 matchup, some of the roster swaps going on today, making things a little bit more interesting for us as we get our first peek at what Kaido can do in this game. And I'm interested to see what he can do, because I think something I've been really wanting out of the TSM LCS squad is just seeing them play with direction, seeing them try and play to make plays, try and attack the mid lane, and utilize the fact you have this mechanical monster that TSM is really hyped up in the mid lane. This is a composition in Academy where you can do that. We can see Hyper trade flash for flash with Victor, and TSM really try and set up and attack this pick in the mid lane and free up Kaido. So I think there are opportunities for TSM to make plays in this game. I just want to see how they use those tools early and if they are able to make things happen.
As am I, but at the moment, line of scrimmage set up in an essence for both sides. This is even going to be Yuji starting on the top half of the map. Not what I'd expect, really. I mean, obviously, we expect the Hecarim to more power farm in these early stages of the game, but I still would expect him to try to mirror the matchup against Hyper.
So we'll see Hyper starting the Wolves. He will have level 3, of course, after the 3 camps. He can pull Blue and Gromp together. I want to see where he goes next. I teased the option to trade flash for flash mid, something you can always do with the Voldabear when you cross. It looks like at the moment, though, he could attack bottom. You could chain a stun from Voldabear into a knockup from the Tom Kench and try and find a kill that way. And so I am really curious what Hyper's first move is, because this is a little bit of a different path. And you can see him sprinting. This will spot him out. Oh, he sees the ward. He's going to wait now. Yeah. This will spot him on the cross.
There it is. Going to know that he is nearby.
Good ward.
And look at the positioning of Spyrex. He was hovering towards the top side, kind of feigning, but that is where UG really is. But in reality, they knew that he was on the Raptors that entire time.
Really well played. It takes away the flash for flash trade I was talking about. Spyrex was able to play around that since he saw the Voldabear. And now Hyper is just returning to his clear. And any move, any play that FlyQuest can make to slow the pace of this game down, going to heavily favor them. That's a small thing from Spyrex, but something that did take away a window from TSM, like that coming out of the mid laner of FlyQuest.
It's nice to see Spyrex even getting a bit of control on Keduo, forcing him underneath his turret. That's a pretty big minion wave that will crash. This allows an opportunity for Hyper, trading those flashes as you had talked about. Here's the charge and waiting for the flash. Sky Splitter. No engage. I'm actually a bit surprised by that.
I think that Ahri's health bar is too low, and now that he's spotted, Yuji wants to make a play.
And this could be a great play. The flash from Instinct, that is a lane they could revisit momentarily.
And this is a great start for FlyQuest. Your full clearing jungler has been able to full clear without any of your solo laners getting heavily punished. Hyper hovering the mid lane, it has not helped out. Kaido is going to be forced back. It's an easy full clear for Yuji. He can return to his Gromp and, rinse and repeat. Yeah. Hyper's already behind. Really good start for FlyQuest.
Well, this is the whole thing that you were talking about before. They need to play for that late game. They have great scaling on their side. All they have to do is kind of hold out. And as long as they can absorb these ganks that are attempted by Hyper to bridge their own gap and make sure that they're going to get to a mid game in a powerful state, that's going to work out for FlyQuest in the long run.
Now, you can see your son. I was teasing that I really think the mid lane is going to be the big point of emphasis for TSM, trying to attack this Victor. It is a pick that if you get flash out of him, he's pretty useless early, especially after this level 1. You can really try and rinse and repeat on this champion, especially with the gank assist that Ahri possesses. But FlyQuest has been able to navigate out this one cleanly. And now TSM not having that window, never trading flash for flash, it's going to be tough for them to try and get back in this lane and attack Spyrex, who I think intelligently pulling the wave, trying to keep it frozen, trying to keep it on his side of the map while he's weak. This is something where it's just going to enable FlyQuest to keep on buying time, keep on scaling, and we'll see what kind of first move TSM makes to try and break this.
Well, that's what I was even going to ask you here, Cubby, is do we instead see Keduo go into other lanes, kind of forfeit that they're not really going to get the play to work out on Spyrex, go into bot lane, tag team with Hyper soon?
Always an option. The reason I like attacking mid is when you want to do that is because you open up more windows to get your mid laner out of lane. And if you take away the flash, it's a lot more difficult for Victor to play out that matchup. So I think that since, there was no trade, Victor can kind of go even with the wave clear of Ahri. And once he gets that evolve, anytime that Ahri wants to leave that mid lane, she is going to be losing waves. So I think that the fact that FlyQuest has dodged out on some of these initial windows is very important for their plans later.
Gotcha. All right, we'll have to keep our eyes on that then, if they can actually have that work out mid lane, because right now they're
going top.
Yeah, they're positioning to tag team in another lane. That is kind of why I asked you that question. If they could, but they still can't make the play work. Philip read that with that ward that he had placed down like a book.
Philip will still get forced off the wave, and that is a massive wave. So it's not like TSM don't get anything off that. That was a good hover from Kaido, but it's one where, this is a FlyQuest team that, with their scaling, as long as it bends and doesn't break, it's okay. And that's one where, TSM are able to bend this matchup a little bit in favor of Viper, but there's no kill. Still, vast majority of the XP and gold picked up by Philip. It's all right for FlyQuest.
It's as long as they're not falling massively behind. This is why we keep saying it. We're not expecting to see FlyQuest make many moves on the map outside of a defensive position. It denies TSM what their draft is all around, what is built upon. Getting the successes in mid lane, translating that into other side lanes with Hyper and Kaido rotating together.
haven't been able to see either freed up quite yet. That was the first instance, just able to force a little bit of a CS differential as Phillips down 2 waves now. But we'll see if they can get a success on this play as Spyrax. Nice sidestep.
Nice sidestep.
Beautiful.
So he can disengage pretty easily. Doesn't even have to burn a flash afterwards. This is why we highlighted Spyrax in the pre-show, and we continue to highlight this player. Watching his growth in this season alone, and even comparing to how he was previously in Proving Grounds, you can see that this player has really just done a massive amount of work to get to this state.
It's someone that we knew was talented. The next steps that Spyrax had to take was just learning more about playing competitive. I mean, you have 2 accounts in the top 30 at Challenger in NA. That's an impressive feat for anyone. And I think that a lot of the pickups that FlyQuest made going into the season for their Academy squad, I think they were slept on. I think Yuji and Spyrax are 2 of the most talented solo queue prospects that we had on the server. And it's nice seeing more and more instances of FlyQuest rounding them out as competitive players. I think this quiet early game, yeah, it's been boring, but this is the perfect early game for FlyQuest. They benefit from nothing happening, and them just dropping trinkets at the right time, hovering lanes at the right time. It's really helped them at least navigate out of the first 8 minutes at an even gold state that is punching way above your weight class with this composition.
But this is looking a little dicey out of Philip. He tried to fully engage on to Viper with that needle work, but he's a level down against Viper, and you can see that doesn't do enough damage. He heals up with thanks of Conqueror and needlework, but he doesn't force out Viper. It's not like he got a flash. It's not like he burned anything. He burned his own ghost.
Still, Weiss Phillips able to stay in the lane, pick up everything else, and time is still his friend. Now, I think the one saving grace for TSM is... hold on. Okay.
That was a little dicey. Yuji's on the side. He can easily dive between any of these turrets, but doesn't pass the way that he thought would be the escape from Instinct. Instead, has to go back and clear out the control ward.
And this is TSM just kind of slowly bleeding out Mad Magical. I know that Rift Arrow was picked up, but the counterpunch from FlyQuest, I favor their side. I know that this lane is going to get broken, but Philip can at least try and freeze this, and you're trading gold on the Jace for gold on the Aphelios, and I would much rather have my gold, if I'm FlyQuest, on my big late game marksman. Now, getting gold on the Jace, it is very important because the poke is one way that TSM can try to defend against the Victor Aphelios, these immobile big backliners. But I don't know if this is enough of a major lead to really help TSM out, and this Aphelios is just as big as the Jace is too.
This is why I do want to bring up that
4 plates.
Yeah, it's a lot of gold picked up by Tomo. I'm glad you kind of mentioned the poke. That is a weakness inherent in Victor and Aphelios. Even Aphelios, he's got situational range. Not like he's always going to have that. Sometimes you can punish those windows when he has the lack of range to fight back against you, especially if you get this gold into your Jace. He's now completed that Eclipse on this recall. He's already been bullying around Philip with a level advantage on Gwen. That could be something they could look to utilize in the next coming minute.
And it's something that, TSM has to utilize. We are at the 11-minute mark. FlyQuest are only down 400 gold. That doesn't matter that much. TSM need to start to find ways to open this up, and it's got to be through Viper. He is the one that has the gold. He is the one that can at least try to break what FlyQuest wants to do, and we got to pause because if Idaho can connect with this charm.
Spirit Rush, though, safety.
Okay.
It's an Ori. It's still hard to fully lock her down.
But that visit from Yuji, he has nothing else to do on the map. He has no camps up. And he's just getting that ult away for free from Kaido. And that delays windows that TSM could use to get that Ahri out of lane and go attack side. So I like the visit from Yuji because he just says, for the next 60 seconds, my bot lane can push up. That's still a tower they're trying to knock down to match the tower that TSM took on the top side. And that's another way that TSM would respond to that play, now taken away thanks to Yuji just having the drive-by.
Drive-by, getting an ult down. It's a pretty long cooldown at these early stages. And you can see how, at the moment, FlyQuest are perfectly fine still. It is a slow game pace, but this is exactly what FlyQuest want. They've slowed down the tempo completely in this game, nearly to a crawl, which is going to only suffer for TSM. It is only a benefit for FlyQuest to have the game be this slow.
Now, this is a nice play from Viper and Kaido. As you can see, Viper got top lane priority. They know that FlyQuest have 3 bots, so they're going to get a lot of plates mid, as Kaido just gets 2 for himself. I really like the hover from Viper. He's even going to stick around and take, potentially look at a couple of the camps, as he actually did take the blue buff away from FlyQuest. So that is a nice move from TSM, but it's still being cross-mapped by FlyQuest. There is no conflict. The trades are somewhat even, and FlyQuest are still okay with the game state. You can see Philip freezing. There's no punishment. There's no place that Viper can go to get something else done, and FlyQuest, they're winning out.
And that's why I highlighted the fact that we have Jace with an Eclipse. It is on Viper in this game, kind of like how it was last game, to be the carry for this team. Bot lane, not really working out. Mid lane, hasn't really had much action. It is off of Viper in this game to probably make any plays that can actually work out.
And we're going to see how hard TSM can push around this mid lane. I also know this Dragon's up. This should be seeded by FlyQuest. I fully expect them to give this away, as TSM's comp way stronger at the moment, even with that 500 gold lead. If FlyQuest were to opt into a fight, I think they intelligently decline. And I think the real timer for FlyQuest, we'll see what happens with the 3rd Dragon, because importantly enough, Mad Magical, they got the first through some good play. They were able to group up and force TSM out, take the first Dragon for free. And that buys another 5 minutes, so they don't even have to fight the next one. I mean, they can wait until the 23-minute mark to fight a Dragon. By then, your Victor, your FLYA are looking at having 2+ items, and that's where things get really hairy for TSM.
This bot lane has been working out amazingly for FlyQuest, where they got that turret, full plates for an FLYA. The gold lead that is, between the two teams is completely made up for the fact that you have FLYA with the majority of the gold for your team.
And we'll see what Tomo can do with this lead. I know that the FLYA last game did have some little bit of trouble, but it is still Tomo's most played, and he is someone that, I mean, his big strength as a player is how he plays out those late game team fights. And this time around, he's not playing FLYA with a Pyke, right? He has a Zillion. He's enabled to utilize the move speed, step up. He has a res if he needs it. So I think that this setup for FlyQuest, I mean, it's just been a game where they are now successfully past the first 15 minutes, and I think that TSM are really going to start to pay for some of the sins and some of the failure for Hyper and Kaido to sync up and make plays around the map.
Once we get some of these items completed for the rest of the members of FlyQuest, it is when it's going to be most devastating for TSM, because they have those lane dominating champions. They are meant to try to get these advantages right out of the gates. They just haven't been able to get those. They are now even in Dragons. The Rift Herald will spawn soon, so maybe they could hit at that to get a bit more of an advantage for themselves. But it's still slowed down, and unless they can accelerate it now and immediately, I don't really see much hope for TSM.
And I think that, the big punish for them, it's got to be towards the Victor still. And I think FlyQuest recognizes this. As you can see, both UG and Zillion were hovering the bot side, trying to make sure that Spyrax was okay. As Viper standing still and a bonus shot from Tomo. I might have a slight connection issue, as we got a quick pause.
I saw that too. I'm like, Viper's not moving. There's something up. And I'm like, did he get stunned by something? Then I look at the guns from Tomo. I'm like, there's no gravitum. So,
well, hopefully we get that figured out soon. If not, we do have a chance to pause and talk a little bit more about all the action that we haven't seen in this game.
I was about to say, I'm like, normally in a pause,
we haven't seen anything.
It lets us catch up to what we've missed, if there is anything, and
we're chilling.
Yeah, this is the lo-fi hangout zone, the chill vibes going around, where there's not much else to do. We're just relaxing, having some fun, maybe shooting some b-ball. I don't know.
Yeah. We can't confirm the Viper to DC, so we're working on making sure the Viper gets back in the game before we continue. And until then, I mean, TSM, they've got to use the time when they get back in the game to at least try and make something happen. When that next Dragon's going to spawn, it's 18:30. The one after that's going to be after 23:30, and TSM, they have to start to find ways to get ahead, start to snowball, because if they don't, it's a Zillion, Hecarim, you have Victor and Aphelios as your big backliners. And TSM, like their only attempts have been really hovers to force waves to die. They haven't attempted anything more than that. And I think it's about time that they start to, throw down and not just roll over in this game.
So I'm gonna say something. I doubt you're gonna believe me, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Did you know I invented lethality Zaya?
What?
Yeah.
You invented it?
Yeah. I've been playing.
Okay.
I've been playing it literally for years. Like actual years.
Okay. Then so what are some of the what are you looking for here? Is this just like a mad magical fun fact? Like, hey, just want you to know.
Oh yeah. I just want you to know.
Okay.
I mean, if it's up to me, an active.
I thought you had like a next step. Like, hey, you know what? Like instinct on this poke Zaya, yada yada yada. It's just like, no, I invented this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Congratulations.
If it's up to me, you'd also throw an axiom arc there too.
Do you get any sort of benefit off this? Did you patent it?
No, I never patent my inventions. I just kind of
okay.
I'm in the opinion that
That is a poor business decision.
Well, no, I'm in the opinion that you let the world have this. Everyone benefits from my memes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see if TSM can benefit. As I know that this bot lane, the poke Zaya, it can work. You can outrange this Aphelios, but it just hasn't been able to get going this game. And I'm worried about TSM. I don't like the state of the game it's in for them, and I really think that Hyper and Kaido need to work together, find some.
I mean, guess what?
We're back.
We're back. The pause is done. We can get back into the game. Hopefully, no more connection issues will occur for Viper, but we got to get back fast because TSM, they were not waiting around. Actually, they get the resurrect out of one member. But guys, come on, hurry up. We got to get back. There's first blood that just took place. There's Spyrex turning around. Come on. We need it back. Ah, there's so much happening. You got to see me. Okay.
Oh, man. All right. We're going to get back in when we can in a sec, as still working on the pause, trying to figure everything out on our end.
Yeah. We're gonna rewind it. So we'll get back into the. You don't just hear me screaming and see my face. We're gonna rewind, get us back in. I'm essentially going to say the same things if I can remember exactly what I said during that. And
it's like we're training for this with the halftime shows, Pixel Perfect,
Or is it a new halftime show where we have to remember exactly what we said during a team fight or like a cast moment?
It could be the hangman, right? The yordle we've been doing. You gotta guess the words, guess the phrase.
That could be interesting.
We have prepared you for this moment, Mad Magical.
Yeah, that could be really
ever since the start.
I mean, leave it up to me to just scream incoherently. That's gonna be the most difficult part. Is like if we do this, I'm just gonna scream incoherently, and nobody's gonna know what's going on.
All right. Well, I do have word that the game has resumed. We're now getting closer to getting back into the game, and there may or may not be a fight coming out of it. No promises. Maybe Mad Magical was just being the true madman and trying to fool us all. Maybe this was all an act.
I'm big brain.
You're playing 4D chess with our hearts. That's what's going on.
I might be just lying to you all, and there's literally still nothing going on in this game, and we're gonna have no kills until about 25 minutes.
It has been rather slow,
yes.
But hopefully we get to speed things back up. And at least we're back into the game now.
All right. Well, I know what to prepare for. Whether or not that's true, you'll have to find out, because there's the disconnect. And Cubby, talk really quick.
Well, Viper's back. Looks like TSM using mid-prio to push in the jungle, and they found Yuji.
Yuji's low, and this is what I was casting before. The gobble. It is going to be the resurrect. Spyrex is on the other side. They got low health bars, but they re-engage onto Ursa. No shield. First blood for Spyrex. The flashes now. TSM continue to hunt and chase, but they've lost Viper on the other side. Tomo is massive in this fight. Hyper can't escape over the wall. It's a double kill for Tomo, and Kaido, he has been pinched in between the two members of FlyQuest and has no escape either. Gwen is immune.
And this was my concern for TSM. They pushed too far up. This is the point of the game where they have to start making plays, but this is too much. And as we get a second look, Yurson, yes, it's a find on Yuji. Yes, you get the flash heat, but there's still the ult from the Zillion. And when Yuji comes back, look at how Tomo plays out the rest of this fight. He has green-white. He's stacking up his guns, and he goes completely untouched against TSM.
I don't think I said every word exactly.
I don't think so either, but, you know, we'll take it.
Yeah. We'll just have to take it. But it was a really good fight from FlyQuest. And the problem here is, if you're at TSM, you have Poke on your side. You can't really full engage at this point because you didn't get the snowball rolling. You haven't had the early game plays work out. And now you're in a position where the late game scaling comp is ahead, even if it's only slightly to you.
This is a really tough game state for TSM. Now, as we return to why Viper is continuing to pick up gold, will secure this bot outer turret. But you can already see TSM, they are sneaking into the brushes, trying to find any leftover members of FlyQuest, but they are looking for picks. This is what I wanted to see them do earlier in the game. Group up your son Hyper. Try and play around Kaido. Try and find these charms. Try and get them to connect and make picks from there. It feels like it's a little bit too little, too late. I know it's only a 500 gold lead for FlyQuest, but we cannot emphasize enough the scaling on this composition compared to TSM's.
Especially the fact that with the Zillion on your team, you keep giving experienced leads to Tomo. He is now level 11 compared to Instinct being only level 9. There is a lot of advantages that FlyQuest now have that are not just gold.
And it will be the first or second neutral of the game for FlyQuest as Rift Herald's picked up. I'm curious to see if they fight the dragon. Because I feel like FlyQuest are getting close to being strong enough to fight it. But I still think that like it's a window where TSM could win a fight. And they did get some summoner spells out that they can punish. As a lot of flashes are down. And Kaido has his up. So maybe Kaido looks for a play. But hey, Tomo, he reads it, spots him out. And this dragon setup, TSM, they have the fast track, but FlyQuest want to contest.
They can't contest. They've got the damage. Gobble up from your son to keep Instinct going, but that is now burned with the dragon spawned. FlyQuest have the inner track.
And they're just throwing down the Rift to create some form of mid-prio. TSM have completely given up on this dragon, and this is just looking like a grim game from here, Mad Magical, because you picked an early comp. You pick lane Prio bot with this poke Xayah. You had the counter pick top. You had the Prio in jungle. TSM weren't able to do anything with it. And now they're just bleeding out as that is a Mountain Dragon over. That is the mid-outer over to FlyQuest. And now the late game comp already has a lead at 20. TSM are trying to respond with this top inner, but I think it's too little too late, Mad Magical. This is looking tough.
It is looking very tough for TSM. They're setting up some side lanes. You already saw before that Viper took down the tier 1 in bot lane. Kaido here in the top lane to look to harass that tier 2. But really, they're just grasping at straws at this point. Unless they can find some miracle picks, especially on a Tomo, it's not looking too hopeful for TSM.
And, I mean, the member you're looking to pick is Diamond before he gets his ult off. I think that's the one hope, the chain CC, where if they can combine a charm with a Voldabear flash stun, you know, maybe that's an angle that TSM can come back and find, but it's so difficult to find picks against Zillion because even there we saw earlier, right? They found Yuji. That was a kill, but you just press R, buy time for FlyQuest to rotate, and all of a sudden TSM find themselves way too deep in FlyQuest jungle. So they've got to be much more careful with this next game, or next attempt they have, or else this game's going to fall out of control even more quickly than it already is, as FlyQuest just set up for success in this game.
They really are. And it's looking pretty dire for TSM, and I'm looking to see, you know, I'm trying to visualize. If I'm a TSM fan or if I'm a TSM player, how to get back in this game. Even if you're even in gold, you're down a dragon, you are now getting outscaled by Tomo, by Spyrex. Even Gwen, the top lane, has already built up that Riftmaker and is soon to outscale something even Viper can't deal with.
And, I mean, for FlyQuest, they don't really have to do anything yet, right? They can just keep on waiting for these dragons to spawn, fighting there. I mean, it is just all about grabbing up farm, business as usual. I think Tomo opting for the Bloodthirster to kind of deal or mitigate the poke of Jace is a smart move, considering Viper is the only one that has all the gold on the team. And now we can see the strength of Tomo and the Zillion. It's just this group of three. Zillion's going to be able to empower this Hecarim and Aphelios, and TSM just has no way to deal with it. How could he even land a charm on Tomo when he has like 1,000 move speed? I mean, it's so tough at this point.
It is, but I want to kind of talk about the glow up we're seeing in the spot lane. I might have to put it on pause right now because Redowo was getting aggressed by UG, but going back to the point I wanted to make, there's a glow for Diamond and Tomo in this game. Just last game, seeing that Diamond was 1-11 on Pike, but it shows the veterancy, the experience this player has to take a devastating loss like that, where you just didn't play that well either, and turn it around to facilitate Tomo.
Hold on. All right, well, I like the point, man, Magical. We got pause. FlyQuest, they're trying to push the pace. This is dangerous. Diamond's very low.
That he is, but it's going to be Philip chasing down Redowo. Charm not connecting, but they've got Diamond in a bad spot. That's why Hyper is looking to see if he can jump on him, as you had talked about before, Cubby. You take out Zillion, you get rid of that ult. It makes it a lot easier to fight, but they just couldn't do it. Instead, they turned their attention and cracked tier 1 in mid.
So they did pull the TP from Jace. I'm not sure if that was quite worth it for FlyQuest, as I really think all they have to do is just fight the dragons at this point. But the TSM at least able to get something in return, get it back to even gold and clear out that mid-outer, as I think FlyQuest may be pushing a little bit too far much there.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse for them for sure, especially with just being a little overextended. Nearly got punished. Diamond almost died in that one after I was just praising the glow up that he's had in this game from the previous one, but he still survived. They didn't lose any members. They just lost the tier 1 with getting a TP out of Viper.
And this is textbook from FlyQuest now, as we're a minute before the dragon. They're going to be fixing up this outer turret, as I really think it's all about the dragon setups for FlyQuest at this point. There is nothing stopping FlyQuest if they are able to get control over this bot side river. It's going to be all about, really, can these shock blasts get the victor low enough? Because even Tomo is able to play defense now with that Bloodthirster. And
with Tomo playing pretty front line, having Diamond behind him with the Zillion ult, it's going to be big, but top lane, Redowo is in a bad spot. He had to use both channels of that Spirit Rush to get a little bit of distance from Hyper, but now that two members are top lane, they try to ingress onto Tomo, but it's the flash away from Viper himself after he had gotten a lot of damage onto Tomo.
Wants at least to summon her down, but Yuji, look at him. He has an angle, man, Magical. He wants it.
He wants Viper, especially. Take out the poke, not allowing him to get any damage onto Tomo. He's gobbled up to survive, but look at Spyrex, the flank inbound. Hyper using his ult to get away, but now that is a lot burned on both sides. Flash Jin gets the flash away. Both of them trying to kite it back, especially FlyQuest, who look towards the dragon.
Do we see TSM pull the Baron? It feels like they need a desperation play at this point. They are going to pull it. It's going to be Tomo melting this, but can they rotate fast enough to even contest? It is a slow Baron. Keep in mind, this is a lethality Xayah.
Yeah, it doesn't do that much damage to the Baron. It's not even at 50%
yeah,
yet, so they
can't
have
stick around.
to peel off of it. That is unfortunate for TSM. They are now one dragon away from FlyQuest getting the soul.
And this is going to be the mid inner falling. Potentially they stick around to get a little bit of pressure down onto the inhibitor turret, but TSM, when they aren't able to trade back, trade anything, it's just FlyQuest still dictating the pace of this game, dictating this map, and FlyQuest really are playing this beautifully.
They are. This is kind of why we're hyping up that these teams might be at the bottom of the standings, but they're playing so much better as the season has continued. You can see the growth from members like Spyrex and Yuji, these solo queue prowess players stepping into a more competitive zone and environment, doing so well. Even if Yuji hasn't really been the one making a lot of these plays, it's been off the backs of Tomo and Diamond in the bot lane, or Spyrex with the flanks. You can still see the decision-making, the shot calling from the members of FlyQuest that's working out so well.
This is one of the things that really excites me about this FlyQuest team is their ability to trade cross-map. I think they play scaling comps really well. And it's funny because it's a different roster, but it's the same identity they had thinking back to the spring of last year. They loved playing full clear scaling junglers where they didn't really take fights until 3rd or 4th Dragon, and they were really good at it. They were one of the strongest academy teams that we had. So even with some of the new players, it feels like, with Tomo, Diamond, with the staff, they're still creating the same identity, and they are probably the best, one of the best academy teams we have when it comes to playing, scaling, and trading cross-map, and I think it's really showing in this game.
They take down another turret. This time it's Spyrex in top lane. Redowo can't really do much. And now even looking mid lane. Tomo, level 14. This game is just getting worse and worse with every minute that ticks by for TSM. And I keep saying it, but unless a miracle can happen for TSM, they can get a good pick onto Tomo or onto Diamond. There's not much they can do, because look at the damage that Tomo does to Instinct. He's not even able to answer with his own ult, so they can re-engage, they get the fear, they get the kill on a Viper.
The empowered Aphelios, I love how forward Tomo's playing that Gale Force to proc the Gravitum. It's not a revolutionary strat on Aphelios, but it's one that he uses so effectively to make sure that Instinct is at least taken off the map. Viper was actually put in the gray screen. This opens up all the room FlyQuest needs to at least start this Baron. Now, let's see if they go for a turn. I don't think you should 50-50 this. You should try and find a fight. We'll see if Philip can posture to go for it. Here he goes.
Philip went over the wall, scaring off the members of TSM, but back over again.
A little early.
Hyper is waiting it out. He's stolen one Baron already today, and he looks like he wants to get another one, but it's just going to not work out because they got a lot of damage on Kaido on the other side. Look at him try to escape. The Moonlight Vigil pop damage onto the members of TSM. They can still peel back. They hadn't reset the aggro just yet, but they see that the death timer for Viper is up. He can TP and join the team.
And I like this call from FlyQuest. Once again, they're the scaling comp. They're the ones that, if that Baron goes over to TSM, that's a massive mistake on their end, and they just prevent that.
Oh, no, not again.
And now...
Oh, not again. You even used the all-in flash this time, but man, that is scary. Tomo. Whew.
Just fearless. And when we were talking earlier about how much TSM had to make plays, had to push the tempo, this is why. Because we knew this was coming in the later stages, and TSM didn't do anything to break this combo, anything to put them behind. Now they have to deal with the consequences, and Tomo's making sure they feel it.
He's 2-0-2. Got another BS sword in his inventory. So close to getting that Infinity Edge to really bring the hurt to numbers like Instinct and Kaido.
And this is... We're going to have to see what kind of last Hail Mary effort TSM can throw at us, because it is a minute until this Mountain Dragon. I don't think that FlyQuest is going to set up around the Baron, because they know if they get Mountain Soul, this game's even more over than it already is. And so you can see here, they might be trying to get the ult out of Kaido early again. It's been something that's been really helping FlyQuest take advantage of these fights. And actually, surprisingly enough to me, I know it's 45 seconds till this Mountain Dragon, but they're still fishing around the Baron. And TSM, they have snuck into that top tri-brush. They're yet to be spotted.
Yeah, but they're far away as well from this dragon. They're not going to get there in time because 30 seconds until it spawns. So you got to recall a reset from Hyper, but he immediately has to book it towards that pit if they want to contest.
And look at the gun setup from Tomo. It is green-white. It is all the range, all the safety that you need. Then you combine that with a move speed of Zillion. Let's see what Tomo can do in this one, as TSM gonna need a miracle to be able to get back in this. Gonna be really tough, as I mean, this is 5 seconds before the Dragon. It is already total control for FlyQuest around this bot side.
Unless TSM can get that Hail Mary to work on the Baron this time around, they're not going to get it. And even look at how FlyQuest are posturing. They've just sent Philip to take it. They know that he can get it by himself, so they can engage this fight and look for Kaido. You got gobbled up. Look at where Instinct, look at where Viper is. Viper getting only a little bit of damage on Tomo, but they got that heal if they need to bring him back into life. But now they have to re-engage once Philip's here.
Tomo is just going to keep on stacking up the chakrams, and he has that Bloodthirster, so it is a lot of poke, a lot of damage.
But he heals up.
Here we
go. They get the revive for Tomo, but they've lost Yuji, and they're waiting out. They've got so much damage, but keep in mind, Tomo still kicking. He can fight back. Looks for the needlework damage coming in from Philip to chase down your son and Hyper, who are really low. Snip, snip for Philip. Look for one more. The bear getting sliced apart by these giant pairs of Sailors as Philip gets a double kill. Look for Instinct.
Still going.
He goes golden to survive, but it's allowing Spyrex, it's allowing the rest of the members to get a shutdown onto Instinct with a TP behind. Kaido, you don't want this, even if Viper's back up. Maybe you do. They're low on health. They've got a lot of damage. They focus on Tomo, but they cannot take him down. It is Tomo on a rampage.
And Kaido is just trying to do this to cut the wave, because it would have been game over if they don't cut this. So I think Kaido goes down, but at least does stall out some more time for TSM. But this game is still so difficult, still so doomed for the side of TSM. They didn't make the plays. They needed too early. Now they have to face the consequences as the Time Lord reigns supreme in the late game. FlyQuest are the ones bringing it back, and FlyQuest are the ones planting TSM to the ground.
And here is a Baron take for FlyQuest. This is the death nail in the coffin of TSM. There doesn't seem much they can do to get back into this game. They tried one final Hail Mary play as you had asked for Cubby, but it didn't work out.
And we're going to get a second look, and I was really surprised that FlyQuest were pushing on the side of the map, because Viper was rotating. He had an angle here to land some serious poke, and there is a moment here where FlyQuest gets very low off this poke. TSM just aren't in position to really punish yet. As you can see, Viper gets dissuaded by the ult from Victor. The re-engage, though, I thought they had a chance. I thought they had an angle, but I think this is where the scaling, the pocketbooks of FlyQuest, the fact that this is an even game instead of one where FlyQuest is playing from behind, really hurts TSM, because once Tomo flashes out of this, their only angle, the only good look that they have found in this game gets turned right upon them, with Philip just chasing down the rest of the members of TSM.
It's late game Gwen. What else can you do?
With a Zillion.
Exactly. So she
zoom, baby.
She goes fast. She snips you apart. She can even revive or go golden to keep going in any fight. It is brutal to face this kind of composition as TSM.
And I think this has been a really good series from Philip. I know that FlyQuest dropped the first game, but we've been praising FlyQuest for the rookies really leveling up. Philip is still kind of a rookie. I mean, he stepped in late last year for Academy and Proving Grounds. He is still someone where I consider this his first full split of Academy. And I think this is one of the better performances we've seen out of him on the Gwen. A champion that we've only seen a couple times from Philip, and it's been I think he's really been taking it to Viper. He's blinding this champ and still performing well, moving around the map when appropriate. I think it's been one of the big pieces of FlyQuest, especially in this game too, where FlyQuest, of course, are looking to even up this series.
This is in a game where Viper had full control of the top lane too. It was Philip bouncing back in this late game to really bring the hurt to the rest of the members of TSM. And now, I don't know of any way that they can realistically stop him. He's level 17, and it takes 3 members to chase him off this turret.
And also keep in mind, I mean, they tried. Oh, that could be enough.
Okay. That was close.
So they tried to dive him early. He was able to retreat. He lost like a couple minions, but it was still fine. I think that he also had some nice angles. Had the TP, or was there at the fight that they really needed them, that got FlyQuest the lead in the first place. And since then, they really have never looked back, as now TSM.
This is their final fight. You've got to have something work out. Otherwise, it is over. If you don't fight, it is over. With Instinct taken so low, again, back to the fountain to revive. It is a 4v5 fight, and look at Aphelios. Look at how big Como is. Level 17 as Aphelios as well. They can chase down the members of TSM. Even if you jump onto Spyrex to get the kill, it is traded back 1 for 1. Your son will be the next target. There are no turrets that remain for TSM. It is all FlyQuest. It is all Tomo on a killing spree as well. With more kills, they can pad that KDA even if you're underneath your fountain, the step of your own base. This has been FlyQuest's game for some time. They dominated TSM to bounce back and to make it a 1-1.
And this is a game where I think that we saw some of, or at least a series where I think we saw a surprising bright spot for TSM in game 1. Hyper, Yurson were able to work together beautifully to find that win, but I think FlyQuest really returned to the strategies that I think have helped them look the best in Academy, and really punished TSM not being able to replicate the synergy that Hyper and Yurson had, their ability to, move Kaido around with this Ahri. Nothing happened for the first 15 minutes. And when that happens, I mean, this is a comp for FlyQuest. We saw how deadly that late game was. You're just asking to find that situation. You're really walking the line so dearly, like waiting for that perfect fight in the early to mid game. It never came for TSM, and because of that, they faced the wrath of FlyQuest later.
And even if you look at how this game kind of worked out, it was that, like you said, 15 minutes. We didn't have a single kill. Then the fight inside of the jungle of FlyQuest, where they kited that one back really well. And in fact, what was it? It was a 2-0 lead for Tomo after that. It set them up perfectly. But we are going to toss a break here, Cubby. We do have to get moving forward, getting ready for our next series. But before that, have a nice little interview with Kangas. Make sure you stay tuned.
Something growing up, I dreamed just nothing. Ooh, what are you? People talk loud, I get what they're telling me. I fucked up, but I didn't give it. Ooh, what did you? Hey, I gotta say, something's going wrong, and everything tired of this. Ooh, what a truth. No one talk now. I'm feeling lost on it. Silence is loud. I get it safe from it. Ooh, what a truth. Hey, I gotta say, something's going wrong, and everything's upside down. I'm falling. Hey, I gotta say, I'm always on a run. I'm getting closer to the light. And everything's going down. Yeah, everything's going down. Hey, I gotta say, something's going wrong, and everything's upside down. I'm falling. Hey, I gotta say, I'm always on a run. I'm getting closer to the light, and everything's going down.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our post-series interview with FlyQuest Academy support Diamond. Cool background, first of all. Is that a green screen or is that actually the background?
Oh, it's actually the background. It's made of 100% recyclable trees. Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Nice. FlyQuest really living up to the brand. Congratulations on the victory there, picking up a win against TSM Academy, a very important one as the two of you are close to each other in the standings. And it's very, very impressive performance from the bot lane in particular, that second game. The FLYA Zillion combo, man, that was kind of dirty to see. How much practice did you put into that? Or is that just something that you're like, hey, it's going to fit here, so let's try it out?
0 games. Not a singular game. But I've played zoning before, so it's fine. So don't worry about it. And I played pipe before too, but I know what happened there. But it is what it is, you know.
Interesting. Claiming you've played the pike before. 1-11. Got anything to say for yourself, Diamond?
I had no mercy that game, actually. I was actually memeing in the pregame lobby that to like they like I was giving you a free one to your son. I was retraining him because you got kicked of you had to like put down again. So to academy. So I was helping your son out to try to get back to LCS and yeah, free your son.
Giving a fellow support a helping hand there. We appreciate that. How very thoughtful of you, Diamond. Also, just something that we were noticing on the broadcast, I was noticing behind the scenes, just watching the games. Seems like this was a good day overall for a lot of the rookies, a lot of the young players on FlyQuest Academy. And I'm happy that I get to chat with you because you're one of the more experienced voices on the team. What's been new? What are you feeding these guys? Phillips is really popping off in the top lane. Spyrex also having a great show into the mid lane. So what's going on with the rookies?
Well, we just got a new chef, so maybe it's in the food or something. I'm not sure, but no, I think like all the players have been like trying really hard, like really trying like, or maybe like found new ways to improve that are more effective. So I think, like for example, Philip, like from his like first appearance in like academy to now, he's like really improved, and I think Jalal, the Sparks is the same. I think Yuji is like, I think he has his footing kind of, but he's just like a bit shy, so he can't play the way he wants to. But I think they're all like slowly just getting to play the way they want to, and that's why that's happening.
It's cool to see FlyQuest coming into your own and actually finding that play style. And now Proving Grounds close to being around the corner. FlyQuest Academy, there's still an opportunity for the run. You still could make that top 6 push to make sure that you auto-qualify for Proving Grounds rather than having to play through the qualifiers. Is the team thinking about that at all? Is that on your mind? Like, hey, we want to make this big late season push? Or are you still just focused on improving week by week?
Honestly, I don't care that much about the program thing. I'm just like I care more about like the individual progress. Because I think like playing academy is like more marathon, and it's way more than just winning academy. Because I've won academy before, and it doesn't really give you that much, you know. So like,
Hmm.
just get better, and hopefully get better fast enough that you can win. And I don't think like our team as like a project is like more just like it's gonna like be good instantly. Like I'm pretty sure like most people
Yeah.
knew that our team is gonna be like pretty bad at first because like we have a lot of rookies. So like it's not like I'm like too like I'm like oh no we're gonna finish like low. I don't care. It's just like it is what it is.
Sure. So, I mean, with that in mind, that is a unique perspective that you can bring in. You have won academy before, so what do you think is the important metric then that we should be kind of judging? Might be too harsh of a word, but looking at these academy players as a lens through, especially some of the younger rookies.
I mean, you can do like the Reddit people and just look at the score lines, or you can actually watch the games and you can get some real information out of them. But like you can like see like how much like a player like gets resources in the draft and like what's happening with the team and see if they
Mhm.
are good based on that. You know, it's like a lot of teams like, for example, I don't know if I want to throw anyone under the bus, but a lot of teams like play to like one like style only, and they like the other players look so bad, but like
Sure.
in reality, it's just the way they're playing, right? So for us, for example, like we play hard to bot side, but like when we play to top side, Tomo and I we do well on weak side as well. So like people don't really see that; they just see like, oh, these guys are so bad because of scoreline. But you know,
Hmm.
there's a lot more to League of Legends than that. So it is what it
Of
is.
course, there's always the nuances of any kind of competitive game. So, awesome to see the multiple styles coming through for FlyQuest Academy. You have the podium. Any final thoughts you have for anybody out there watching before we wrap up?
Uh, Shout out to the boys, the Fly fan. Shout out to our content team. Shout out to Nick fan. Shout out to all the boys. Shout out to everyone that I didn't shout out. Shout out to Kangas Cast. Shout out to
Oh,
Cubby. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to Rafa. Shout out to the boys in
so
the back. Shout out to the
thoughtful.
Twitch chat. Everyone.
Oh, now you're just milking it, Diamond. At that point, thank you so much for coming on for this post series interview. Congratulations on the win, and best of luck going into tomorrow's series.
Goodbye.